Welcome to the Economics Visualization application, which is a visualization tool for macroeconomic data of a country. And it can be used as a teaching tool to show off theoretic economic data and historic economic data by first and second year students of economics. So it's a web-based application that when you launch is shown this with a title panel that tells you what this application is and how to control it. So we can close that. So the main application is split into three parts: the control on the left, the visualization in the middle, and data selection in the right. So the visualization itself is split into two parts. The main at the bottom, the big graph, which is actual historic data of a country. So here it's from 1993 to 2014. You can see the years gone by and the values of all these series as seen in the legend here. This is then linked to theoretic data at the top, the three graphs, which is economics curves like the Phillips curve, Laffer curve, which are in blue as you can see, and the economics data from the historic visualization are mapped onto here as green dots, as you can see here, because the axes represent some of the series in the historic data. So these things are linked. So if I, let's say, select the green dot here, you'll see how it's selected in the historic data, and vice versa. If I just select some time in the historic data, you'll see a green dot on the theoretic data. So what you can do as well is turn on different series by just clicking on the legend or double clicking on the legend, as I just did now, clicking and selecting what you want. So let's move on to the controls. On the left is you can change by normalizing the data or not. So let me just select this. You see at the bottom it's a straight line. So if you normalize it, all the data is between 1 and 0. You can also zoom in on the x-axis if you add a time range bar, as you can see here. So I can zoom in and the years are changing now. It's from 2009 to 2014. And the time range filter is if to filter the green dots at the top in the theoretic view, depending on what you have selected as the time range in the historic data. So as you can see, the dots are changing. And if I turn it off, all the green dots appear. And if I turn it back on, all the green dots that are not relevant disappear. You also have a night mode here that is used for night reading, so it makes everything darker. And you have a high quality mode, which selects if to have animations and shadows that are more taxing on the CPU. And then on the right, you have interesting data series selection. So for example, if I just want to see population and GDP, I can click it here and see relations of the data. So these are just interesting things, so you don't have to go searching for them. They're preset for each country, and you can select the ones that you want and that have some value in them. You can also select them by the theoretic graph. So the Phillips curve here is now showing the axis for unemployment and inflation, as is in the Phillips curve. Then you can also switch the country. So the United Kingdom here, I switched to the United Kingdom. All the settings are saved. I've just switched the country here. Let me just select all the data and then denormalize. And as you can see, that's the UK data with all its economic data. You can also search for what series you want by keywords, and you can have many keywords. So if I want, for example, tax and anything with GDP or a percentage, you can click go and it'll select that for you. So only population and public debt don't meet that. There is also a quiz section, as you can see here, where the student can quiz himself, correct or wrong, and it can also show hints that will display data that's relevant to that question. Also, for lecturers, you can hide specific elements if you just want it in a lecture theater, so the area is actually big. And this will about summarize this, the actual visualization, and then you just have an about page and a help page. And you can also download the data itself in these two buttons here as a CSV or as actual plain text, depending on what you might need. And here below, if you scroll down, you have further reading and description of where the data comes from, data sources.